Follow up on the Nashville bombing. There's a bombing here earlier this year, maybe into last year. It's been a while back in January and stuff. Could we say that it's part of the Tennessee state constitution and how they will not allow Native Americans to have a reservation? Now, I've heard some sound bites or something else like that. Maybe it's just someone in the more crowded neighborhoods I sometimes frequent. Just saying also, this is Colin Dawson with the Political Minute. Some of them yelling, that'll take care of all those abandoned buildings where all the Jews around me are having sex at. This will take care of all their pleasure lands. This will make sure they'll never be able to move back in around here and get something for free and open up something beside them. It really did occur to me that while they were trying to make sure that everyone was safe and everything else, I do know that there are a lot of native peoples that don't speak English. And it's a matter of pride with them. And I do know that there's a stereotype that anytime you see like a row of trees along the interstate or that intermedian, that there's for every 100 yards, there's 5 to 15 Native Americans still living there watching you from the shadows because you can't see them because it's just that one shade of red and green, and they're going to sneak up on you and I'm like sitting there going, sometimes with me at times people go off on me about being Native American, and so I just kind of go, there's a Kirk Douglas movie called The Exodus where he goes, can you help me with something in my eye? After the guy was going on about how he could find a Jew anywhere that he wanted to and just pick him out of the lineup very easily. And he's right there helping him get a little thing out of his eye. And it's he couldn't tell. And I just got to say, I watched that, and I watched a little clip from Joe Rogan show, and they were going on about how there was no public lands left in Texas, so that Patchett couldn't get a reservation. Well, you don't need public lands, you just need land that you can say is condemned or up for auction. And out in Nashville, where that area was so huge at, you could have given an apartment style situational reservation, a very urban situation, to a state that has a lot of stuff in the Constitution of it against natives and even the foundation of this country in a way, which could come back very much that someone would think that they were saving the entire world simply by getting rid of themselves in a few city blocks with a very advanced car bomb. So, in of saying this, I'm not saying that which tribe they would have thought of or anything else, but it just occurred to me, you don't need public lands to give them a reservation. Some reservations are like that and very traditionally thought of as just vacant public lands, and they live completely off the land. But you could give a city settlement like that, and there's a lot of vacant towns and a lot of vacant areas in the South right now that are out there that people, whether it's the war or whatever, or people moving away for jobs, they're dead towns. Not even one person living in them. And they're the modern day ghost town. There's a lot of them on YouTube if you look them up. I don't really have any specific links or any names that I could drop. But I'm just saying, this is one of the things that kind of came to me going, in all the crazy, it's not crazy to me being here. It makes complete sense. And while I'd love to try and say something more definitively concrete, like this guy had a manifesto, this guy had this. I live in Tennessee, and it's only 2 hours away, and it made the national news, and whatever it is behind it is completely shh. And out of everything, I can say it's a lot of interior thought. But me being in Nashville, being around some family that's over there, and having people regularly from Nashville come through, or vice versa, what I'm saying, I don't think is too far-fetched. Hearing some angry opinions in some crowded areas from not knowing whose window's open and how many times it ricochets down the street. I'm just saying some things could be said over it that should be probably an avenue of investigation, or else at least consideration, and see if there's any pieces that could match or go around that. And I would love to be more forward on that, but honestly, there's not any places. And it's such a, also like, who cares? I'm like, it's 2 or 3 blocks of Nashville that's leveled. They have real city blocks there. And it's like, who cares? And I'm going, the only reason why it would be that closed up is there has to be something in the state's constitution over a group they were targeting. So it's kind of like, and I hate using this, they always have like a construction or paint tribe in certain areas. And while people are like, oh, the Native Americans can turn into werewolves or weredeer or something else, they turn into their own thunderbirds. It's not unheard of in rumors that the best espionage agents came from the paint tribes and turned themselves into the coffee table at the Wolf's Den or something else. And it's like, that's total. If you're going to say that Native Americans can change into werebears or werewolves or something, and they're not the Nazi werewolves, there's no reason you shouldn't think that there is a group of Native Americans that could turn into the office furniture next to you or something. And I've even heard one story where, 50 years later, 60 years later, over in England, there's this desk they brought back, a little coffee end table. And this woman, all of a sudden, and they were playing like how an old thing with Winston Churchill that it was over. And this woman just materialized, the desk materialized into her. And it freaked the person out. They still had guns over there in England, and he went out and he shot at her. And she rolled down the stairs or something else like that, and he thought he killed her.